Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Thank you for time. Give me opportunity to present our paper. The title Physicochemical and Characterization Calcium Nanofluoride Catalyst Bond. I'm Bukhari. My partner Ibu Siti Suryaningsi. We from Department of Chemistry Education Wisyara Jakarta. And Professor Muhammad Jali from Faculty of Agro-Industrial Technology, University of Pajajaran, Bandung. The next slide. Introduction, statement of the problem. Fishbone are the biggest waste in the fish processing industry. Basically, fishbone are part of the fish that has many benefits. However, bone utilization is still not optimal. Objective of the research: the first, characterize the chemical content of cat-bone calcium and the fluoride through approximate test parameters, calcines and non-calcine calcium and phosphorus contents. The second, characterize the physical properties of cat-bone calcium and fluorides for vertical size, morphology, and visual physical properties test parameters. Benefits of the study: the utilization of fishbone as a source of mineral, especially calcium and phosphorus, is an effort to increase the economic value of fishbone waste. The experimental method, and stage, the third, preparation of bone meal. The second, characterization of chemical content for proximides, calcium, and phosphorus test. And the third, characterization of physical properties through vertical, morphological, and visual measurements. Material, we are only catfish, Clarias gariepinus, and that analyzes the experimental design was a completely randomized design. All chemical analysis or report as average and fine test. The next slide, this is a table approximate analysis. The weighted content of non-calcium catalyst bone floor is 7.45%. This indicates that the water content of the catfish bone calcium on the floor meets this and quality standard number 1. Yes, and the S content of calcium catfish bone on the floor is 63.29%. This indicates that the S content of the catfish bone calcium nanofluoride has not meet this and high quality standard, only number 3. And the next slide, this is stable calcium and phosphorus analysis. The calcium content of non-calcined bone meal was 32.16% and calcine 33.15%. The result of the t-test analysis, the difference in calcination treatment had a significant effect on the total calcium of catfish bone meal. This indicates that the total calcium from calcines catfish bone meal was greater than that without calcines. The calcine content of calcine and non-calcines calcium on the floor but meet the SNI quality standard number 1. And the next slide, this is picture about characterization of physical properties, the measurement of the size of calcium and particle on sample of an alkaline's bone meal with PSA, particular size analyzers, based on the percent number of time to 0.4.1 nanometer with PI, degree of non-uniformity of particle distribution 0.403, and this indicate that the particle size in the form of non-particle because it has a size below 1000 nanometers, and the particle distribution tend to be uniform because the pi is less than 1. Nanoparticle or particle with a size of 10 until 1000 nanometers. And the next slide, characterization of physical properties. This is picture so that the measurement of the size of calcium nanoparticle on sample of calcined bone meal width is A. Based on the percent intensity, the size is 67504 nanometers, 86.1%, and 100.7 nanometer, 13.9% with PI. Degree of non-uniformity of particle distribution 0.680. This indicates that the particle size in the form of nanoparticle because it has a size below 1000 nanometers, and the particle distribution tend to be uniform because the PI is less than 1. And next slide, this is picture morphology analysis. SEM, semi-micrograph of cadmium bond calcium on the floor. A 500 times magnification calcination, and B not calcine 500 times magnification. The morphology of the calcium on the floor of cadmium bond is calcine and not calcines at 500 times magnification like a stone crystal. This indicates that the crystal form is a type of calcite. And the next slide, this is a table visual characterization of physical properties. Properties, the result of observing the physical properties of calcium on the floor, texture, smell, and taste have the same physical properties as non-calcine and calcine, only different in colors. The non-calcine calcium on the floor is bone with white, while the calcine is whiter in color. This indicates that during the calcination process, organic matter decomposes and the water composition loses the bond. And the conclusion, based on the result of the research that the characterization test of the chemical content of cadmium bond, calcium nanofluoride content, 7.45% water content, 63.29% S, 4.50% protein, 2.95% fat, 21.81% carbohydrates, and calcium content of non-calcined bone meal 32.16% and 33.15% calcined bone meal. The quality standard, the result of the physical properties characterization test that particle size of the uncalcined bone meal and calcine indicate non-particle. The morphological results of calcine and non-calcine bone meal width 500 times magnification had calcite type crystal. Visually, the non-calcine calcium on the floor is bone while the calcine in wider colored. Knowledge one, the research sponsored by Ph.D. and di PBB Jakarta. And thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.